Alrighty guys, welcome to Ask a Puppy Trainer Show live. We are on episode 80. Wow, that's exciting. 80 episodes. That's crazy. 80 weeks. Alright, good stuff. Alright, let's do it. So we don't have a ton of questions today, so please in the chat, throw some questions if you guys have any. So we'll try to get to as many as we can. Alright, so our first question, I don't have Bethany here to paraphrase, so you guys get read the entire question. I know, it's exciting, right? We're gonna read it together. Okay, from Roberto the Fourth. Oh, I like it. I wish I had the fourth on my name. When do you advise a puppy can go for their first walk? My 3-month-old Basenji Chihuahua mix just got her second vaccinations. So, I'm not the specialist on vaccinations, but I think you guys might have, Instagram's angry with us today.
Yeah, it is.
I think you guys might have one more round before they can actually go outside. But that actually brings me to a really great question. It's just something that I get asked a lot. A lot of vets are now recommending that you don't socialize your dog before the final round of vaccinations, which is usually about 16 weeks for the rabies. And that's something that I always like to talk about. So socialization doesn't mean that they can't go outside. They can't see things. They can't experience life. It doesn't mean they have to be stuck inside the house. So to answer, I'm gonna do two birds, one stone. So to answer Robert's question, when did they take their first walk? I do my first walk inside for quite a while before I even go outside. I got a 8-week-old puppy, I got a 12-week-old puppy. They may not be able to go outside. I'll be walking up and down my driveway as long as it's a safe space. It's not dirty, you don't have other like wild animals going on all day long. Or I'll do my hallway inside my house, I'll use my backyard, I'll use my front yard, I'll use my driveway, I'll use my walkway. I start teaching all the habits I want to see outside in the real world, inside in my home first. And then I eventually kind of bubble out and sorry Instagram if it's lagging or doing weird stuff because it's on my screen doing weird stuff. I'll start building inside habits, outside in a controlled environment habit, and then eventually move to the outside world all in itself. Now let's talk about the dogs that are not fully vaccinated. Yeah, I think the mic setup's good.
I know. It's weird.
Shoot us something in the chat if you guys can't hear us or something's going on. It always happens when Bethany's not here, and then she makes fun of me for it later on. All right, so now the dogs that are not 16 weeks old. Those dogs, it doesn't mean that they can't go outside. It means that we have to get them slightly different things. So I'm not gonna walk a dog that's under vaccinated on a dirty ground that maybe other dogs have peed on or pooped on because it could have bacteria that could lead to giardia, distemper, all that good stuff, or all that bad stuff, I guess. But what you can do is you can get a stroller, you can put them in the stroller. You can get like one of those little sacks that would go across your chest, but you're not gonna wear it across your chest, you're gonna wear it by your side on your hip. Not across your chest, this is too connected. Well, down here where they're a little bit more free, they're able to watch things. Dogs are outside, they're under vaccinated. They can go in a sash, they can go in a little hip pouch, they can go in a stroller. What you're trying to do is you're trying to help them understand that they can see everything and get experience from that. They don't have to be. All they need to do is learn that when they go outside, they just have to watch. People come up with their dog, we don't allow them to say hi. People come up with their kids, we don't allow them to say hi. We're just teaching them to watch the world and experience it in a controlled way so you have power over all the things that they're seeing and experiencing. So by the time they do hit 16 weeks old, one of the things that we're seeing with a lot of our dogs is that they're coming to school, they're 16 weeks old, they've had no socialization, and it's like they're getting hit with an atom bomb. There's just so much overstimuli, over craziness. We have no control over it. All right, for our next one, this is from Shannon Reese Jones. Hi, we are about to adopt a puppy and want to see where you suggest we put the crate if we have an older dog. Should we separate them? And maybe I should put the puppy crate in my bedroom, by my bed in my room. Or should I put them both in the living room even though my older dog will just be out? Love your page, thank you all for your tips. Love it, you're welcome guys. So, I have a dog that I'm bringing into the house. I like to put the crate in the area that they're gonna spend overnight and a majority of the day. A crate should actually be farther away from us. It should not be in the same room as us. So when we're sleeping, it's not a big deal if that crate is in the same room because everyone's sleeping. But throughout the day, we actually want that crate as far away from the main living area as possible. They're in the bedroom, we're in the living room. If you have an office space and half your office space is your bedroom, then you want to use like a guest room, maybe one of the kids' rooms when they're not home, they're at school. You want to try to have that crate as far away as possible. Because think of it as if I have that crate in my living room, that's where the greatest foot traffic is, in the kitchen, in the dining room. They can hear you, they can see you, they can like sense that you're around them. They're gonna have a lot more trouble sleeping. A puppy is actually supposed to go in the crate and sleep when they're in there. I mean, you're not gonna get that every single time, but the goal is that they hit REM sleep. So I have my puppy in the crate, and after 10, 15 minutes of barking, they finally eventually settle down, they go to sleep. That's probably because it's gonna be in a different room. It's okay to cover with the towel, put on like a little noise machine. Anything you can do to help them relax a little bit quicker, that's our goal. But yeah, keep it out of the living room. It's like me trying to take a nap on a main thoroughfare, and I hear traffic, I hear feet moving, I hear car horns, I hear sirens. All of that is gonna keep your puppy up. So distance as far as you can. I think there's two parts of the question. No, I would not put them in the living room together. It can create frustration for your puppy to see your older dog walking around. I'd have them in the bedroom and I'd have that door shut. You could even do a walk-in closet, something we suggest sometimes if a puppy is very vocal or they're very sensitive to noises. A walk-in closet is like what we call our Zen room. It's a soundproof room because you tend to have a lot of jackets and coats in there, so it muffles the outside sound so they hear less and they can go sleep a little bit quicker. So it might even help them settle and relax a bit faster.
And then Robert just joined. You want to tell him that his question was answered?
Mr. Robert, you were my first question, but it was a little bit choppy, so sorry about that. It'll be up tomorrow on the replay. But yeah, check it out. I even added on a question on top of your question, so we appreciate you. All right, and now from I love Top Rum. I do too. Any advice on using potty pads when potty training in an apartment? I just don't want my double doodle to get used to the pads versus outside. I think we may have answered a question similar to this one last week or the week before, but I just want to layer onto it. So I have a potty pad inside my house. How I use that potty pad is everything. One, you do want to get on a schedule. You don't want your dog checking in and going to that potty pad whenever they want to go potty, because you're not teaching a potty routine. They're just using it whenever they need to. And they tend to have more potty accidents if you do it that way. So one, get them on a schedule. They're in the crate. I won't break it down too far, but the gist of it is right when they come out of the crate, they're on leash, they're on harness, and I walk them over to the potty pads. I actually do like a tri-potty pad. So I do one here, and one here. I kind of layer them over each other, and then I put a playpen over the potty pads. So just a tight square. So you should have potty pads coming out from every end of that playpen, so you're covering a large surface area. And most likely puppies are going to pee on one of them, or a majority of the potties will be on one potty pad or two of them, and you can just kind of swap those out. You don't have to replace all three of them every single time they go potty and wait for them to become a little bit saturated. That's just my advice. When I take my puppy over there, I put them on that potty pad, I close the little playpen, I still have a leash on because I want them to get used to having a leash on and not freaking out with it. They're just going to stand there for usually 2 to 3 minutes, let them go potty. If they don't go in the 2 to 3 minutes, I'll put them back in the crate for about 15 to 30 minutes. For an older dog, 4 to 5 months old, and for a younger puppy, 4 months or less, I'll put them in there for about maybe 10 to 15 minutes. After that, I put them back on the potty pad when I bring them out, and I rinse and repeat that until eventually they go potty. I'm also an advocate for putting potty pads on a balcony or like a little grass patch. You can go to Home Depot and get a couple feet of turf, and then just put that on your pad or put it on your patio. You can go to Petco or PetSmart, any of the pet stores around you. You get something called a potty patch, which actually has a little plastic tray, and it's got a little scent pad that they say helps the puppy go to it. It doesn't actually work though. But teach your puppy to go there. You can even take one of your potty pads, put it on top of that, the thing that they've already been peeing on, let them pee on it a few times. One day, eliminate that potty pad. They're already used to going to the area, and then they'll pee on that. But ideally, well, this is only a beginning thing. This is what I do for dogs that are under-vaccinated, that can't really go outside into the real world. If I have a puppy that can go into the real world, I want to condition them and move them outside as soon as possible. So I think the second part of the question was, I don't want them to get used to doing the pads versus outside. So when your puppy is vaccinated, fully vaccinated, you want to make a drastic change. You don't want to spend 2 weeks being inside and at the same time also taking them outside. It's confusing. Eliminate those potty pads when they're ready. You got to remember, your puppy's going to go where you take them. So if you give them free roam to your home, your apartment, they're going to go wherever they're comfortable going. So you eliminate those potty pads. They're still peeing on the hardwood floor or the carpet or the whatever you have, the tile, in the spot that you had those potty pads. So it's your job when you eliminate those potty pads when they're fully vaccinated to take them out of the crate, leash harness, pick them up, carry them outside, put them in the area you want them to go on, hold the leash and stand there like a tree. They go left, I don't follow. They go right, I don't follow. I'm not moving with them. I'm teaching them to go in the spot that I give them, and I stand there like a tree for 2 to 3 minutes, and I wait. After 2 to 3 minutes, they go potty, good girl, good boy, good potty. Then I bring them inside and I give them free time, which is like training, walk and play, and supervised separation, which we've gone over in previous episodes. But the whole point of taking them outside is you designate a spot for them to go potty, and you're teaching them how to hold their bladder. So they don't use the potty wherever they want, they use it in your designated area and teach them how to hold it longer and longer until they can eventually maybe not use the crate when they're an adult dog, or just use it less frequently and still have positive results with your potty training. Okay, that was a long explanation. Good question though, really good question. Ooh, I love this, this is one of my favorites. What about a gentle leader? So a lot of people ask me about gentle leaders versus harnesses. Harnesses, just to be very clear, they promote pulling. That's why they put them on sled dogs. It promotes pressure on the chest, strengthen the shoulders, and driving forward and pushing forward. There are harnesses out there that don't promote pulling, but like the Easy Walk, that's one that doesn't promote pulling. It actually puts a lot of pressure on the joints and the shoulder blades, and most vets will tell you not to use an Easy Walk for the first 8 to 9 months until those joints are fully developed. So that brings us to the gentle leader. It's a tool that's really, really amazing for younger puppies and older puppies eventually. In the beginning stage of using a gentle leader, it's your job as mom and dad and owner and leader to condition them to wear it, but not actually even work on it. I do a lot of service animal work. I used to work for companies that train solely service animals from 6 to 8 weeks old. They don't even give dogs to owners, usually until like 12 weeks old. So 6 to 8 weeks old, they're like infants. We would actually put a gentle leader on them and then
Can you explain what it is?
Oh yeah, gentle leader. Do we have one that I could show them? If we have one, we'll grab one for you. But it basically is a thin piece of material that goes around the muzzle, around their nose, but it's not a muzzle. Everyone always asks me, is this a muzzle? Does it prevent them from being able to open their mouth and like biting somebody? Say, no, it doesn't do that. But, oh, perfect. Thank you. So this is a gentle leader. That right there. And then for YouTube as well. That is our gentle leader. So what the gentle leader does, it's thin piece of material that goes around the nose and under the chin, and it's got a little lead that comes from the bottom that your leash clips to. So when they pull in one direction, it gives you leverage over where their head looks. But this is not a correction tool. This is a guidance-based tool that requires food for proper introduction. Because how it works is, you basically put it on when the puppy is very young. Assuming you're gonna get your puppy 8 to 12 weeks old, I have them wear it, and I give them food when they wear it. I treat them so they understand that the gentle leader is a positive tool. It means good things. I wear it, I get food. And then eventually when I start teaching them to walk on it, like any other tool, I still recommend hiring a dog trainer or watching our videos or looking at YouTube videos. The gentle leader is a little bit easier to introduce by yourself, but whenever they pull on it, it creates pressure. You move in the opposite direction at an angle, so never down the side of the face, but kind of off to the side. And then when they look at you, you give slack, you show them food, they come back, they take the food. So it can be a really, really great tool when introduced young. However,
and they can use, you can still drink water and have food with it on. It's not like a muzzle, right?
No, I said that when you're out there.
Okay.
Yep, not a muzzle. Yes, they can still drink food, they can still drink water, they can still eat food. Ideally, I don't really keep it on them that long. I usually only use it for training, and when I'm introducing it in the beginning as a young puppy, I'll make them wear it for like 10-15 minutes while I'm actually training them on the harness or the flat collar, usually harness, but they just get used to wearing it and taking food. I don't actually put the leash on until they're more acclimated to it. Let's talk about the cons though. So there are some cons of the gentle leader as well. Introducing it to an older dog that's not used to it, they tend to fight and fuss a bit more than a younger puppy who's been conditioned on it from a young age. What do I mean by fighting? That could mean that they are putting their dew claw, trying to pull it off. I've seen dogs scratch their noses. I've seen them pull hard on it without release, and it tends to rub a line of hair off the nose. There's pros and cons to everything, guys. Prong collars, e-collars, gentle leaders, star mark collars, harnesses, Easy Walks, everything has pros and cons. The con for this is that if it's not introduced properly, it can create a lot of frustration. That's also why I start by saying, hire a trainer if you're not familiar using them, you haven't used them in the past, you haven't had training on them on the past. So that's usually I'll say YouTube, hire a trainer, that way they're properly introduced. That's the biggest thing. Without proper introduction, dogs tend not be a huge fan of them. Okay. I need Bethany to balance me. If I'm bad cop, she's gotta be good cop. I like when she's bad cop because I like.
She's usually bad cop.
I know. I'm usually good cop. Okay. Help! My 7-week puppy aggressively lunges at and attacks my big dog anytime he approaches her, and he doesn't correct her. How do we correct this behavior? Guys, you got a 7-week-old puppy. There are no corrections yet. I'll be honest, I don't correct 7-week-old puppies unless it's like severe aggression, which personally I don't think it is. I think your puppy wants to play with your big dog, but your big dog is high off the ground or at least bigger than your other dog, so your puppy is learning how to play with that older dog. If I want to help my older dog, which I absolutely do, I don't want any puppies jumping on their faces, nipping cheeks, and pulling at jowls. We don't want any of that. What I do is I put my puppy on a leash. I should never have any dog that's under 6 to 8 months of age free roaming around my home without some kind of leash or something to give us leverage and control over them. What I mean by that is I have my puppy out of the crate, they're not in the playpen, and they're moving around. I have a harness on, I have a leash clip to it, and I tend to let that leash drag, or I'll even like tie it to my ankle. What that gives me leverage. So when I start seeing my big dog come into the room, you already know what your little dog's gonna do or your puppy's gonna do, your 7-week. You're gonna pick up that leash, you're gonna kind of just wait. Puppy charges big dog, counter tension. Hold the leash, wait him out. Puppy gets frustrated, you can move in the opposite direction. Or it's just a preventive from your puppy jumping on the bigger dog. Bigger dog comes in, gets jumped on a little bit, doesn't like it. Bigger dog has an opportunity to walk away and you still have control of your puppy. But that's just more preventive. How can I teach my puppy to acclimate near my bigger dog? I do training sessions with my bigger dog, maybe baby gated in a different room, but visible to my puppy. And when my puppy shows interest in my bigger dog, I'll grab some high reward treats, put it to my dog's nose, so I'm holding leash, I kind of ring my hand around the back or to the front, right to the nose, puppy come, away from my bigger dog. Good treat, they run back to the bigger dog, I recall away. I teach them that over and over and over again, so I teach impulse control. How does my puppy know to not mess with my bigger dog? Because I've trained them around each other, and now they know that check-in with me gets food and good things. To jump on the bigger dog gets them nothing productive because I always prevent them from doing it. And then eventually that relationship builds. But most young dogs are not gonna be, or most older dogs are not gonna be super happy with the younger puppy because their energy levels are completely different. It's like if you go to the dog park and you see a young dog trying to play with an older dog, the older dog's more likely to beat up the younger dog because the older dog is trying to teach boundaries. But that doesn't mean that every big dog or every older dog will teach those boundaries. My dog, not a huge fan of teaching boundaries. Our other dog will almost peck at the puppies to get them to settle down a little bit. My other dog will just lay there. They come too close, she'll snarl and growl at them. They kind of back off, but then she looks to me to advocate for her space. So that is where our leash comes in, guys. If we cannot advocate for our older dog's space and our older dog's not gonna do it themselves, we need to have a leash on that puppy. But just so you know, I do think it's a bit unfair to require an older dog to advocate for their own space because they are not the leader of your household. You guys are. When they advocate for their own space, you're teaching them that you want them to be the leader of the household. You want them to be the big bad dog. When that happens, when the puppy starts getting bigger, you have more territorial battles. You have the older dog expecting to be the top dog, the puppy trying to vie for that alpha position, and then that's when you get more fights, you get more, you just get stuff that you don't want to see. You take that role from them, you become the leader of your household, your older dog looks to you, your puppy looks to you as well. Okay, do we have any questions coming up yet? I got one. I talk too fast. Bethany reels me in a little bit. Okay, how do I get my 8-month-old pup to stop pulling?
Is there a name for this one?
No, I don't have a name.
Okay.
This is a zinger. This is a hard one. 8-month-old pup to stop pulling. So one, I will start by saying, you need to hire yourself a dog trainer. You need to do a group class, you need to do a private class. You gotta get in somewhere where they can show you how to use training tools or a harness properly with food redirection. So let's just talk about harness. So I go out to PCH. It's called the Pacific Coast Highway. It's the busiest highway we have in pretty much the entire South Bay. I go out there and say, all right, I need my dog to stop pulling. It's not gonna happen because my dog hasn't been taught in a quieter environment. So let's say that I'm in the facility, I'm in my home, I'm in the living room. I have them on the harness and I teach the walking habits that I want in a controlled environment. I walk down my hallway, my dog hits the end of the leash, I freeze. I kind of shift to one side and start moving backwards. My puppy goes, what the heck's going on? I'm not pulling down, so this is my dog. I'm not pulling down the spine. It anchors the shoulders, they'll drive forward. I'm going to the side and going at an angle. So eventually my dog starts turning. They look towards me, and the minute they look towards me, I show them food. Puppy, let's go. I move in the opposite direction. Now, I'm not pulling in my arm. I'm moving backwards. There's such a different form of pressure. When I'm standing here and I pull my arm in, my puppy's gonna resist and anchor. But when I walk back with my elbow straight, I'm actually moving back. It's using all 185 pounds of my body to create an understanding that I want my puppy to move with me. When they turn, they acknowledge me. They see my food and they move in my direction. Release tension. Good. Treat. Stand tall. Turn in the other direction and walk in the other direction. Rinse and repeat. They hit in the leash. Stop. Shift to the side. Move back slightly. It turns their body at this angle to see me. I've got food. I say, let's go. Right when I feel that pressure, I walk back, they see my food, they come back, they get food, and I turn and go the opposite way. It's teaching them that pressure on means I want something from you. Pressure off means you did the right thing. So the more they follow, the more likely they are to get food. But now, that's just that's your hallway. That's the easiest place you'll ever be. Where do I go from there? Driveway, garage, walk path, or walkway from my front door to the sidewalk. If the sidewalk is quiet, it's just a quieter part of the day, I'll even try the sidewalk a little bit. But to give you an idea, I work my puppies here for almost a full month in a controlled environment before I go out into the real world. So then when I go to my owner lessons and my owners are going, wow, that's amazing. They're doing so great outside. I say, yeah, they will, but it took some time to get there and you're nowhere ready to go around any distraction. So even when I get my puppy walking outside, I'm doing it in a distraction-less environment as long as I can until I trust my puppy to see a dog from a couple hundred feet away, hear my let's go, I move back and they acknowledge me and move with me. And every time I can do that, I might be able to get a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer until they can see a dog and be like, hey, let's go. And we keep walking, they're like, oh, food. And they check in with me, they get their little treat, their little morsel, and I keep on walking. That is the goal. But man, that's a hard one to teach because depending on how distracted and how motivated your dog is to pull, that's why I say hire a trainer or go to a group class. You need to find what kind of dog you have and what their level of pulling is. I have probably 15 dogs in our program right now that I can tell you right now, these owners would have been pretty much screwed if they didn't have us or didn't have a trainer, because no matter what they've done and how intense the pulling was for these dogs, even with us as professionals, they would have really, really struggled at home. So it really depends on the dog you have, the temperament, the strength, the size, the breed, and that pretty much plays a role into what kind of walker you have and whether you'll need a trainer or whether you can do it on your own. I have where we live, we have a guy that has a Weimaraner. I can tell you right now, Weimaraners are the most anxious dogs I've ever trained in 13 years. I've never once had a Weimaraner that wasn't incredibly anxious. This guy has the calmest Weimaraner I've ever seen. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, he probably trained him on e-collar and prong collar or star mark and all these things I'm thinking which give really, really strict obedience. No, I talked to him, he trained him on a harness and he did a lot of food work. He didn't even walk outside with this dog until he had 4 weeks under his belt of walking inside in a controlled environment with food, and then he ventured outside. He stayed away from every distraction. I see every owner go out and walk and let their dog say hi to every dog, which I do not advise because it teaches the dog to be out on the walk for other dogs and not to walk with you, which for what's pulling. He would be across the street, have his dog sit with food, and just watch these dogs play across the street. And then when he saw the dog was getting a bit too hyped up, moved away, lured his dog with food, got him out of the situation, walked away, kind of came back 10, 20 minutes later to watch the dogs play in the park again. And now I saw this, I saw his wife walking this dog this morning, the Weimaraner, and perfect heel, beautiful heel, walking right down the street, seeing dogs, seeing people, but that's what it takes for certain dogs in order to get a good walk. If you want to stick to a harness, not do a gentle leader, not do an easy walk, some of the other tools out there is you are doing a ton of food work. Okay, that's all the questions I have. I don't see any questions coming either.
We're almost done. Why don't you promote our online school?
Oh, I love it. Look at us. And guys, if you have any more questions or you want a private hour to where you have a smaller group of people watching, you can ask more questions through that. Check out our online school. We have even a live that we do every Wednesday at 4 p.m. where you have a full hour instead of just the 30 minutes. And there's usually maybe 5 to 10 people in that room and you get a lot more questions answered and we'll give you more specified questions to the question that you have. But yeah, we have a ton of resources. We have 8 classes where we go over all of our material. We have like a little library where we go over separation anxiety, walking, healing, jumping, impulse control. Yeah, a ton of resources for you guys. So yeah, check it out, puppyacademy.com. Check out the online school. It should be the top banner for us. Okay, that's all I have, guys. See you next week. Thanks for joining us. Sorry for the technical errors and probably for how echoey this is going to be. We apologize now.